Welcome back to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we talk about critical issues in the blindness community. I'm Aaron Richmond. Tonight, like all other episodes, is copywritten by me, Aaron Richmond, and Aaron's Opinion. Thank you. You can watch this episode right here on YouTube, where so many of you do, along with listening to us on iTunes or wherever you get a podcast. 1-240-681-9869. 1-240-681-9869. Aaron's Opinion 6 at gmail.com. Comment below. Follow on Facebook, Twitter. Even consider becoming a patron on my Patreon page. Tonight's guest is Sarah Hallaby. She happens to be a friend of our good friend in the community, Armando Valles. Hey, you guys remember last episode or the couple times ago, I think I was talking with someone else about the Blind Advocacy Network. Before I pushed record, I was asking Sarah what the connection is. And she's just a great friend of the Blind Advocacy Network. And of course, we want to give her a chance to talk about what she wants to talk about and tell her story in life and all of that. So welcome to Aaron's Opinion. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good. How about you?
Well, thank you. And okay, so what I guess so are you so yeah, why don't you start out by telling the listeners and the viewers your connection to the Blind Advocacy Network?
So I actually met through a mutual friend, Armando, and we actually had mutual friends, which is how I actually met Armando. Because our personalities kind of click and stuff, and we actually get along well. It was definitely nice being able to meet him, and through that, I met so many nice people, like you, for example.
Thank you. hmm Okay. So what I mean you're cited. Um I guess I mean since I do not work for them, it's hard for me in a sense to answer, but I guess what questions do you have about advocacy, about that topic of advocacy? Because I've been podcasting for a while. I have a lot, I think, to share in the field of advocacy. So what do you want to know?
I just want to know how come no one ever thought about this at a sooner time, because I know blindness has probably been around for such a long time, and how come not many people try to help build a better community and build things better for those that are blind and cannot see. They need to get treated way better than they actually get treated.
Funny you say it because, I completely agree. You're 100% right. And I don't know. One of the answers is that there are already large successful advocacy organizations for the blind in the United States and around the world. But we always need more successful people like you and anyone in the advocacy network who's willing to be helpful and willing to do the right thing. And that is so important. It really is. Yes. hmm Um, so yes, I mean that's one of the reasons that I think there's already been a lot of successful organizations, and Armando kind of came along as far as I remember last summer. He was on the show, and he got into radio, and I'm really quite impressed because he has worked very hard at developing his network and the things that he wants to do. So
Definitely.
yeah, yeah. And what about you? Talk more about your own life. Like, what do you do in life? Do you ever podcast yourself? Stuff like that.
I actually do not have a podcast, and this is actually my first podcast.
Well, great, great. So, what are you doing in life now?
Well, nothing just yet because I've been dealing with some of my own medical situations.
Okay.
So, my name is Sarah. I'm 20 years old. And I I currently live in Georgia, but I'm actually not from Georgia. I used to live in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Yeah, definitely a whole different world from here.
In comparison to New York and Georgia. Sure, sure. And so, what brought you to Georgia?
And my father got a job down here, and we wanted to get away from the snow. Because in upstate New York, you get a whole lot of
Yeah.
cold weather.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And what kind in general, what kind of work are you doing now?
Uh, Nothing too big just yet.
I
Because
see.
again, we got COVID and stuff, and just like want to make sure no one gets sick because COVID's pretty dangerous right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But been kind of looking around, gonna dip my toe in, probably do like a stock with job, probably like pet mode or something simple as I work my way into the working field.
Okay, okay. Well, um I think that that's a really important topic to have a conversation about. So, a lot of people in the blindness community are wondering, how to get jobs and things like that. And one of the things that is very difficult is how do you even get a first job? So, what do you think? What are some things that blind people should be thinking about um, in order for them to get their first job. What do you think from your perspective?
Well, from my perspective, it all depends on like when it comes to trying to get a first job. My best, like one of the definitely top suggestions is try to find a job that'll also match your personality
Mm-hmm. Right.
and make sure you work with somebody or like you work at a business that is accepting of your condition, so to speak. Because you don't want to work for somebody who's gonna treat you unfairly for one
Right.
reason or another. Because there are people out there that you got those that are supportive of people, then you got others that are not supportive of others. And you do not want
Mm-hmm.
to work in that kind of toxic environment that would treat you like dirt or not help you if you need the help for whatever reason.
That's true. That's true. So you mentioned that one particular store. You mentioned Petco. I mean, do you know anyone who works there? Do you have a connection with that company?
I do not have any connection with PetSmart, and I think I
Oh.
choose that because you get to like work with animals and stuff. And I've
Hmm.
always had like a family dog and stuff like that. So it's just like, I
Oh,
don't know, just
great. Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay. Okay. Well, do you have any other pets, by the way?
Cool, just we had the one family dog.
That's nice. That's nice. People in the podcasting community know that my dream is to have a parrot. I love parrots. Hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. But that's really good. Yeah, I think that. Well, it's hard to say. I mean, the pet industry in general, I don't know how aggressively they would or would not be hiring these days just because of COVID. So,
Correct.
there's probably a lot that you can do, but definitely we would have to wait until everything gets back to normal. And that could take a few more years, by the way. I don't think it will be
Definitely.
I
It's
don't
definitely going
think
to be a very slow process.
extremely you know what, and we find the same in the blindness community, really, guys. Everything Life is a very slow process. Everything is very, very, very slow. The art of podcasting is painfully slow, right? Getting episodes together, pushing record a lot, getting these episodes recorded, saved. Then I have to find time to upload them and publish them outwards to you. All of this takes a long time to do. So there's no quick way. There's no quick fix for any of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. But that is all really all really good. So what are some like questions you have? Or well, I guess I would want to know, have you met other blind people in person before?
Well, actually, I have a distant relative that is actually legally blind.
Okay.
Not blood related, but they I consider family. And
Mm-hmm.
she's actually legally blind and deaf.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, I'm a what questions do you have about the blindness community? Because I'm a very open person. You can ask me any question. I'm pleased to
Sounds.
educate you about it. So what do you want to know?
What is it like being born blind?
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned the born part. Being born blind is difficult. However, it is significantly easier than losing your vision as an older adult. We have on this YouTube channel, Sarah, you can go back through the archive and watch the videos, but I've spoken to a lot of people around the world who became blind later on in life. And that is really difficult because if you become blind as an older adult, it makes it a lot more difficult for you to fully adapt to being blind. So it must be really weird. And I've told people who lose their vision as older adults, it must be bizarre to be, born sighted like you. And then to, obviously you're sighted now, but what I mean to be born sighted like you, and then as they get older to lose their vision to some situation, disease, accident. I mean, Sarah, I've had everything. I've had a person on the show who was blinded because he was hit over the head with a brick. I've had someone who was shot their eye out with a with a thumbtack. I've had someone who got into a horrific accident. So I mean, there are all sorts of ways that someone can become blind later on in life. It's more, as you learn more about blind advocacy, as you listen to more episodes of my podcast, hopefully, along with many other great ones, by the way, guys. There are many great podcasters around me in the community. If you listen to any of them, you'll learn that there are many, many, many ways that someone can suddenly, become blind with basically no warning. They wake up one day and they start and stuff doesn't feel right or look right, and then 6 months later they need a cane. That can happen. It's unusual, but it's happening. It is something that is happening. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else.
So, yes.
In some cases,
Mm-hmm.
as I did in my first podcast, in some cases, is there like any warning signs that could potentially be like, oh, this might be happening? Because I know with some cases there can be warning signs to notify you, like, okay, something's going on. Maybe I should consider getting this checked out to make sure that your theory might be correct, whether it is, or just like a emergency, like to make you feel better.
What do you? I mean, I do not understand your question. So, I mean, what do you mean?
Like, and this goes for like others out there too, especially those who may not have who decide like later on down the road. Does it go for like again for anyone? But is it like warning signs like, okay, things don't get blurry, or like how do you know that something's like not right? Or like what makes you have that feeling like, wait a second, something's not?
Okay. Are you asking me how a sighted person would know if they start to lose their vision? How would they actually know that something was wrong if they've never dealt with that before?
Yes, or
That's
like
a that's a
those
brilliant.
who.
That's a great question.
Thank you.
That's a really I've never even given this any thought. It's a really important thing to think about. Well, usually, Sarah, what happens is the sighted person, I mean, it does not always happen this way, and it does not need to always happen this way. But this sounds kind of funny. Usually the sighted person gets up one day, and it's hard for me to even describe it to you because I don't know what it's like being sighted, but I guess
Right.
and I do have some usable vision, to see certain things, but it's difficult for me to express. Like, it's hard for me to explain to you what
Right.
what vision means. Yeah.
And then like in your case, since you're like born blind, I
Right.
remember watching the live stream, and when did you realize, wait a second, what's going on? Like when did you like realize
Well,
this is what it
let,
is?
let me go let me retrace let's retrace the steps a little bit for the listener. So usually the sighted person gets in their car and they go to work, and on their
Right.
way home or on their way to work they usually miss a stop sign and they get pulled over by a police officer. So
Right.
then they go home and they notice, wait a minute, I used to always know that stop sign was there. So there's that way. So you can be doing an activity and then something
Yeah.
happens.
But I mean,
Um,
like for you, since you were like born blind, how would it work for one that is already born blind?
yeah.
Is it like how old are you when you realize, wait, this is what's going on? This is what my mom
Oh,
said.
okay. Got it. So are you asking how
Like when
like
did
how
you realize?
when do you notice when you're blind? If you were born blind, when do you notice?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess that it's a fascinating question. I guess when you're 6 or 7, I mean, you start hearing the word blind, the B word, blind,
Right.
but intellectually understanding it, I don't know, maybe when you're 12, teenager years, I don't know. Um, I don't know. I'll ask my parents. That's a fascinating, utterly fascinating thing to say. To which no one has ever phrased that question to me. I don't really know. I mean, because when you're a little boy or a little girl, you don't like, you're kind of a diz regardless. When you're a little kid, you don't really. Uh, that's an incredible question, though.
Thank you.
That fascinates me. I mean, because I was born blind, I've never thought of it, but I will ask my parents when they felt that I noticed that I was blind and realized.
Yeah, because I believe
Yeah,
that everyone has their own stories. Everyone has like when other people notice something or when
right.
you notice something yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
like things that should be thought about. Like when did this happen? Because it's actually
Right, but
interesting to kind of get to
no,
know yourself better.
I already know myself better. I'm me.
Yeah. But there's always more to you than you even realize.
Oh, apparently.
People, for me personally, there's always a lot more to yourself than even you will notice.
I
I'm a
guess
big spiritual person. I'm sorry.
you're no spiritual. No, don't never apologize for belief. Beliefs are welcome on this podcast.
Okay.
After all, it's just as much Sarah's opinion as it is mine. So I welcome opinions and spirituality. But I don't know. Um, God, guys, these last two guests I've had, you guests are getting good at it. You guys are starting to really take this seriously and really ask me questions that I'm actually struggling to come up with answers for. I mean, I guess the answer is maybe when I was 10 or 11. Probably, that age I started. You know what? I think the answer is I need more information, but I would say probably when I was around 10. Because when I was around 10, I started to notice. I think the answer is when I was around 10, I noticed because when I was 10, I started to notice that other students and other people were treating me differently. So I guess at the age of 10, I started to kind of notice it, I guess. But intellectually understanding it, well, that happens at a later date, after university, after I started working, after I got into podcasting and broadcasting and all of this. But, but I guess I would say I have no idea, number one. Number two, I would say probably around the age of 10. Number three, I'm going to ask my parents because that was a really thoughtful question. See,
Thank you.
so are you a member of the Blind Advocacy Network?
Like, I got invited into it, so I help out if I'm ever needed and stuff. And I'm definitely a
That's
big
kind
supporter
of
of it.
well, I think that's wonderful. I mean, I am not a member either, but that's kind of the attitude I have about them right now. I want to be as helpful as possible, kind of help out in the background as we can as they go along. I think, and that's exactly how I. But you should talk. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna put words in your head or mouth that you wouldn't want to think or say, but you should talk to Armando. Um, and explain to him that you want to be a member, because the level of questioning that you just went through with me and the level of critical thinking and thoughtfulness of your questions shows me that you really understand disability. So if you really understand me, well, maybe there's projects that you can do and help out and be an advocate for. They
Yeah,
may or may not
definitely.
be blindness related, but sounds like you can be an advocate for someone because you
Thank
ask the
you.
right questions.
I'm
Questions that
always a
I've
curious person. I love
well,
asking questions.
well, me too. Well, me too. Well, me too. Me too. Um, but the questions you asked were the right ones, and you asked it in a way that made me think critically. So that's oh, I just love that. You know,
Thank
those
you so much.
these are the types of people we need on Aaron's Opinion more often. You know, these are the types of conversations that I want to be having right here on YouTube. So make sure to know, how are you not podcasting yourself?
I'm actually, well, mostly for me, I'm actually not a big social person. And I'm
You're
like,
extremely social. You took the courage to come on to some stranger's show that you didn't even know me, and then you asked great questions. I think we need to get you into podcasting. Really?
thank you so much. Yeah, I'm actually not a big, very social person, but
Yeah.
hearing what you
Yeah.
do and being the part of blind advocate, I was like, you know what? Why not? I can be an advocate. And I can ask you questions that I might be curious about. And then since you did tell me that I could talk about myself a little bit, and then I can point out other stuff too that should be well known also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. But that really fascinates me that you would ask such a sweet and a kind question, but also
Thank you.
a really a really fascinating one. Guys, comment below. When was the first time, if you were born blind? We're gonna have a question of the day segment, I guess. A question of the day thing. I don't use the special effects, but you know what? You can put special effects in your imagination. You can make your own. You can make your own music and sound effects. So it's question of the day. Okay, there's you're using your imagination. You see the words popping up there in our imaginations, of course. Here's the question: if you were born blind, at what point did you notice that you were born blind? If you were not born blind and became blind later, how did you notice that something was wrong in the first place? Because that's really what Sarah wanted to know. And that was really the questioning that you went through, intellectually trying to figure out all those things, you know? Um, in trying to ask the right questions to really understand people. That is really meaningful to me.
I'm
So I
glad.
yeah, yeah. So has anyone else in the Blind Advocacy Network, organization, have they reached out to you and offered to podcast with you?
Actually, no, you're the first one.
I'm the first one. Yeah. Because a couple other people in that particular group have their own shows, have their own podcasts. Um, you should, well, when I post this in the group, guys, usually I don't do this. Usually I don't post videos in groups. Usually I just follow my own method where I have a page for the show, Aaron's Opinion on Facebook. Which I'm sure you'll find it, and if not, I can send you the page at a later date. But I usually just kind of post there and use that as like a website for the show. I tend to not post in groups too much anymore, because I'm finding that doesn't always send the right message. However, I think, to be in fairness to the Blind Advocacy Network, since I just produced literally, 2 episodes about the Blind Advocacy Network, I'm going to put both of them in both of the YouTube videos in the group for you guys. for your review, and I think that is appropriate, and I think that's a very good start to show the importance of being an advocate on YouTube or on iTunes or wherever it is. You know, the truth is, Sarah, we need a lot more of you. We need a lot more of kind people helping out all over the world in different little ways to fix the entire equation. So you
Thank you
never
so much.
so you never know how much of a fix this could be. You also can never tell when you're creating content how many people are actually aware of what is has actually happened. Sure, YouTube Studio shows me the number of views, and you know if people like stuff, and you know they show an algorithm, they show stats, they do, but it's all a lot of it is guesses, and I'm never really getting the full story. So that's why it's really important, guys. If you feel that you need to talk to me, if you feel that you need to record a show, just come on over, send me a message and talk about it, and we'll set something up, because you never know
Thank you
at
so
what
much.
point these types of shows could be very, very productive and very helpful. 6 months later, oh hey, Aaron and Sarah's show. Yeah, Sarah, you know, do you remember last winter in February when you were talking to that Aaron's opinion guy? Okay, well now it's hot, now it's August, and we're all sitting around outside somewhere, and we need to go back to that and hear what you guys said, because it was really important or really good or really interesting. So you never know how much what you're doing today will help someone else tomorrow. You never
I
know what.
definitely agree in
Yeah.
my viewpoint is with a disability and stuff. Because fun fact,
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually epileptic.
Right. Okay. So, and I was wondering, um, kind of to be blunt. I'm sure that with your kindness, you know you can.
I love blunt and I love openness.
Okay, well then I'm gonna be blunt and open. I can tell by the way that you know you speak and your delivery when you were having a conversation. I can tell that maybe I thought maybe you also have challenges, or maybe you also have some sort of a disability, or some sort of a alternate an alternate ability, however you look at it, right? So
Yeah.
do you want to talk to us a little bit more about educating people about epilepsy.
Epilepsy.
Yeah,
So
I, sure.
epilepsy.
Go ahead.
So epilepsy is a condition that will cause you to have seizures.
Right.
And I didn't actually like I kind of knew I was having like I'd have small episodes once in a while, like nothing like all the time.
Hmm.
Starting from like ninth grade, but I didn't actually get in diagnosed until I was it was actually 2019 in
Huh.
September 26th of 2019 because I was actually out of state when it happened, and I ended up having a full blown grand mal seizure. So a grand mal seizure or like a tonic-clonic seizure is one of the most severe seizures that, depending on the situation, can end up possibly killing you,
Oh my God.
especially if you have like no one around. So with seizures, you got all kinds of seizures. You got like, for mine, was diagnosed with juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. So myoclonic epilepsy will cause your when you have like a small seizure and stuff, it will cause your body to start convulsing. So meaning that your body starts spasming and stuff like that. So that's when I personally knew that something's not right. But since to me it wasn't a big deal, and this is for all of you out there. If you suspect that something is wrong, go to a doctor about it. Do not wait, because there could be consequences if you do not wait. I mean, if you wait. Trust me.
Excellent. Excellent. You know, one of my acquaintances also is epileptic as well. So yeah, I've never really talked about it. Um, I've never had. I don't think I've ever had a guest, or well, um, Maybe I have. I don't know. I don't know if I've specifically had a guest who is an epileptic, but yeah. So she's right. People should be aware of these things. I guess I would ask, um, in the humor and spirit of the question that you asked. So the first time you had a seizure, if you had never had a seizure before, how did you know it was a seizure? Just like your question, if you were born blind, how do you know that you were born blind?
Well, like as I say, it's like I get like small episodes once in a while,
Yeah.
and I know it'd be like it depends on seizures because for those who have seizures, some can be just like caused by stress, bright lights. There are a lot of different causes. Mine, I don't get bothered by lights or any of that. And
Right.
then some seizures can be caused by another illness, such as like some can have like something wrong with the brain, like maybe a brain tumor or aneurysm, which in my
Mm.
case hasn't caused that. Mine were usually caused by very stressful situations, and I've been actually seizure free for over a year and 4 months now.
Over a year and 4 months.
Yep,
Right.
seizure free.
So good. So good. Right. So are you do you mind if I ask this? Are you do you
Go
take
ahead,
like
ask.
do you take like medicine? Do you have like a different certain medications that you have to take, a couple times a day or week for that?
Yeah. Well, in my case, I am on anti seizure pills to help with that, but I
Right.
actually do have I said due to my epilepsy, I unfortunately have some side effects to the epilepsy, which will cause me to have twitches and tremors.
Right, right. I see. Yeah, the trick seemed to be with my acquaintance, my other friend. The trick seemed to be with her that once she got the dosage of the medicine right and got it all taken care of, that really helps. Yeah, it's important to use to get the right medication, but then you have to use it properly, and then you got to get it just right, is what it seems like. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah,
But yes, I've been fortunate with that.
it seems like the medication for epilepsy is improving though for people. It seems like we're starting to figure that out a little bit better now. Yeah.
Yeah. And in some cases, it just really depends on the person and the type of epilepsy that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, that, and again, it also depends on like what triggers it, and again, whether is it just like stress or like a mild trigger, like well, not like mild, but like something as like bright lights and stress versus like a aneurysm. But usually, if you have a major seizure, that's when you can finally fully get like it's serious because you cannot make that stuff up. And then that's when they will do the testing. And if you have a major seizure, make sure they do all the testing to try to get to the bottom of it. Because if they do something just like blood test and that's it, go someplace else and find a doctor that will actually do their job. Because when I had my major seizure, they did CT, MRI, full blood work, and everything. And that's when it's like, the doctor actually cares about your well being and trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. And make sure they also give you an EEG.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. Well, I'm glad that you have been seizure free for over a year. That's
Thank you
wonderful.
so much.
So good. So good. Yeah. Um
Sorry
and
about that.
the what?
Sorry about that. My phone's kind of get a little glitchy, but I'm
Oh
good.
no! Oh no! No problem! No problem! Yeah. Oftentimes on these Zoom videos, the other person does not always turn on their camera, so it just depends on the person and things like that. So okay. I think you're a great advocate.
Thank you
And
so much.
certainly you should look into joining that blind advocacy network, become a member of some sort or some degree, so that maybe if someone else comes to the organization who has epilepsy, you would be able to talk to them and they could network with you.
Yeah,
Are
definitely.
you I mean, I'm in a ton of Facebook groups. Are you in a Facebook group for people with epilepsy?
I actually am not.
That's interesting. I'm sure there
Yeah.
probably is a Facebook group for that type of thing,
Yeah.
because there's a Facebook group for everything that you could imagine there could be a Facebook group for.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And actually, also for Facebook groups, I've usually got like the blind advocate stuff, and
Hmm.
I'm in ones for like depression and anxiety.
Okay. Okay. So do you also relate to that community?
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm always asking questions with other people, trying to get to the bottom of everything, trying to get the full story to be able to better understand them and better help them.
Right.
Because I honestly believe that there are good people out there. And what I don't like about society is that not everyone sees in that kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And most people just judge straight away without getting to know the person. And if you take the time to get to know the person better, then you realize that most likely that person's actually a good person. Because I don't like jumping to conclusions. I don't like that. I like to get to know the person better to before making a judgment on whether you're good or bad. Because, like, for example, with you, I know you're a good person.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. That is true. That is true. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. All very true, and all very, very, very interesting. Well, look, I think that, as far as you're concerned, I think that you have a lot to contribute to YouTube and the podcast community. You can talk about epilepsy. You can talk about, you know, coming to Georgia and your interests, your motivations to work and things like that. You can talk about being an advocate. What we need more of in the podcasting community is other advocates who are willing to have the conversations about these very same things. So
Definitely.
I think that it's really, 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 really important that you educate people on that, right? So
Definitely.
even, hey, just try, just go over to anchor.fm if you want sometime, set up a podcast and just talk to yourself for like 30 minutes about a topic that's meaningful to you. Okay. And just, my advice is, see how it goes. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. But if you do love it, then it's a great hobby for you. Podcasting
Yeah.
could be a really, really, really productive activity for you to do in the meantime, between now and whenever things start to get back to the normal, whatever that means. But,
Yeah.
but, I mean, I will tell you that I am blessed and very fortunate to have a job on online work, all day, every day mostly. Um, but a lot of people out there need an outlet and need something to listen to, and that's one of the main reasons why I created this show, was to give people great content that they enjoy. And I think that that's really, 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 really important. Yeah. So. Hmm. Okay, ask me more good questions. Throw
Hmm.
me another really good one.
Let's see. I gotta think.
I mean,
Because those
now
are
you
definitely the
see,
best
I've
ones.
I've really raised the bar now. Now you really got to ask
Yeah.
a good question. I mean, really, really shock me with this one.
Hmm.
Let's drink some coffee. That always gets it going. Here.
Dude, that is as a good. Thanks for setting the ball high, because I don't think I can compete with myself. Those are like the best ones I've got. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. I guess. Thank you for being so open, but have you ever found any good things about being blind?
Wonderful, wonderful question. Of course, I am who I am.
True.
I am who I am. I know who I am. I don't always know who I was, and I don't always know who I will be, but I am who I am. as we say in my second language of French. I'm a French speaker.
That's
I
cool.
know, yeah, French is my second language. I know who I am. Je connais que j'y suis, right? I know myself. I know I know my state of being. We don't
That
know we don't know where we're going, but I know me. Je me connais.
that's cool. Now my next question would be, have you, because that is a great answer. And I love people that are so confident in themselves and like, I am who I am. Deal with it. Because I'm kind of I'm sorry, I get like the whole comment of like, I am who I am going on here. And like I'm out of confidence. And my question to you would have to be, have you ever tried to imagine what life would look like if you were not blind?
No, no, that's an easy question. No, because I can't. Just like I can't imagine what it must be like to become blind, I can't imagine what it must be like not to be blind.
True. It's one of the things where like everyone handles things differently because when I ask my questions, I always try to be like think about like different people and their situation because people have different viewpoints or opinions on different things. So I try to cover like a wide selection of
Hmm.
people because some people out there just go with it's only this one thing and that's it. I always go like there are different versions of different situations. You gotta go through the broad variety versus just like saying it's one and that's it.
Right. Right. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I understand. I understand. You are so right. You are so right. Hmm.
Thank you so much.
I mean, you've really asked all the great questions. So again, I mean, what are some, yeah, I mean, what are some activities you're doing, to spend your time apart from watching, this show or hanging out around the Blind Advocacy Network on Facebook? What are some things that you're doing to constructively use your time?
Well, I spend a lot of time on the internet because I always love looking things up because I'm again very curious person. So it's like I'm curious. On the internet, you get a wider variety of opinions and stuff because I like seeing things from different perspectives because I don't like to just assume one thing. I like wider variety, like because everyone has a different viewpoint on things. You got those who have a more positive outlook. You got those who have a more negative outlook. And it's nice to know everyone's opinions because everyone has different opinions and viewpoints on the same situation. And also, I've been into watching a lot of comedy. Because in a point like this, like a time like this, we need more comedy out there. We need everyone just instead of fighting, what we need is a good laugh once in a while. Because between COVID, politics, everyone coming after each other, instead of focusing on that, what we need is a good laugh. Right? So we should be fighting for what's more important. Finding laughter when we need it instead of fighting each other. We should be coming together instead of going after each other. That's not what we should be like. We should be united, not enemies.
Right. So do you want to talk about something negative just to bring it up? Do you want to talk about politics?
Well, I would
I was
definitely
being
keep
I
it.
was being I was being sarcastic, by the way, because
Yeah,
you are so right that we should just keep things positive and
right.
and just focus on that. Hmm.
Yeah, because for politics is one of the things where like, it's making everyone enemies. And
Yeah, it
this is
really does.
which is why I don't generally get too involved because it's like all you're doing is just coming after each other for no reason. We need, and this is what bugs me because it's just like people have different opinions, so they're gonna hate each other for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is America. We have the right to have different opinions, but we should not hate each other because of it. And I will admit, I may not be the most positive person on the planet, but this is getting to the point where it's just like, we need comedy. We need more brightness in a world full of darkness.
Well, you're very entertaining and very educated and very informed. I think you should, if you want comedy, you produce the comedy then if you want it. You set up a video and tell jokes, you know?
Thank you so much.
You should try that. You should try some comedy, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. Can you do a little routine right now? A mini comedy routine? Come on, give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Well, hold on. Well, let's see. Out of curiosity, have you ever lived in Georgia?
Have I ever? Are you asking if I've ever lived in Georgia? Is that what you're
Yes.
asking? No.
Yeah.
No.
So
If you're a good comedian, you should be able to make me laugh regardless. So let's
I was just being
hear.
prepared because I went to I was just kind of curious. I was like, wait a second, I'm curious now. But let's see. What is with parents these days having to double guess everything?
What is
And
with
this-
what?
Parents these days. Why did they always have to be so conflictive? Because it's like they expect you to respond to a message straight away, because if you don't, they completely flip out. But if you need something very important and you talk to them, then they decide to not respond to 5 hours later.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then it's just then they want to call you a know-it-all.
Right.
Because know-it-all is one of those terms used to basically be somebody who knows it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you know it all, basically.
Right.
I think know-it-all is a term used because other times the opposing player doesn't know it all.
That's true. That's true. So it's kind of a misnomer. It's kind of one of
that's
those
my opinion. And I guess in some places people can go a little too far, but in other cases it's just okay, I think this is a little misunderstood.
I see. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, it's just I'm not good at coming up with material straight away. So
Well, see, if you pair that with stories, that could get really good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the best part was on Friday. I was driving and stuff, and let's just say I learned one thing I never knew about Georgia. We have cranes.
As in
the board. We actually have a. Yeah, I didn't know that until I almost hit one with a car. So I'm driving with my mother, and I never knew that about Georgia because I've only lived here for 5 years. And it only took me 2 years to find out this state actually has armadillos, which I only thought was an Australian thing. I'm just ain't no one prepared me for this date. But it's just I'm driving, and I don't know, in that moment, I thought I went back in time because I'm in the car with my mother. And then coming back from Walmart, and then itself. Pretty funny. But I mean, that state, I thought I went back to the prehistoric age because that thing was really. And I have a short call because I'm short, so I have a shorter call. You see that thing flying right near the call, and that thing was huge. I thought I was looking at a velociraptor. Now, this is the funny part, besides the fact that I felt like I was back at the prehistoric age with the dinosaurs. I'm 2021 is really starting to weird me out, and it's only January. But this is funny because I looked up okay, did I do some time traveling? Because I feel like I'm back in the prehistoric age. How the heck did it go from 2021 Walmart to back in the dinosaur age? What happened? Did I miss something here? But it's so funny because turns out, I was it's either a crane or a velociraptor, just to find out that the cranes all actually evolved from the Velociraptor.
Yeah.
I'm just like, great, 2021, and I almost hit the endangered evolutionized dinosaur. I'm like,
well, okay, there you go. Okay, there you go. That's okay. Now you're starting to get the hang of it. You're starting to connect the jokes and the history. There you go. You're starting to connect.
That's my favorite one because you don't typically hear about that going on. It's just like you get deer, simple stuff like that, but you get a dinosaur. It's just like, I think I've had enough road time for the day.
I see. Well, there's a lot of debate actually if there's still some remaining species of the velociraptor. Seriously, there's been a lot of stories of people seeing some big creature flying around and they were pretty sure it was a real velociraptor. So, I believe it still exists? No. But have biologists and different researchers said that it's actually possible that it could have survived and it is a very, 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 very endangered species? Yeah. I mean, like, how big was it? Like,
it was big, and like I said, when I was like doing research into it, it said that the crane was of course endangered, but it was actually the evolutionized species of the Velociraptor.
Yeah.
So clearly, if they were able to evolve, then potentially there's a little bit more to the history than we might not always realize. But then look at 2020 when the government finally decided that aliens actually do exist, even though we knew this for like a long time. So you never know what to expect. It is 2021.
So what was the wingspan if you were to guess, if you were to estimate for me? What do you think the wingspan was?
I actually don't know. I was more focused on trying not to hit that thing because that thing would have done some damage.
That's something my parents would say. The thing, Aaron, don't ask me. I was just trying not to get killed in the process of avoiding the guy. Yeah, of course.
That was done some damage. Like that thing was huge. I'm just like,
let me just ask you this: do you think the wingspan could have been 50 to 60 feet?
Maybe a little less. But there's two things going in my mind.
Yeah.
Don't hit it. Actually, make it three things. Don't hit it. Don't die. What am I actually witnessing at this point in time? I mean, you see one of those.
I mean, what color was it? Yes, I know you were trying not to look, but what color was it?
It was there's some sort of like red and stuff. It was like reddish on the head and stuff, and the gray. But it definitely looked like a crane, in my opinion. But just like, and even my mother saw it, and even she's like, "Is that a crane?" It's like, it's either that or a dinosaur. Who knows? It's 2021.
That's interesting. That's really. Let me get back. I think. Okay, I'm glad you didn't hit the guy. Okay, let's just leave it at there. Okay, I'm glad you let him fly off. I'm a huge bird lover. I'm mesmerized by birds. Okay, look, the next time you're going to hit it though, I don't care. If you have to destroy the car, it's worth it for me. Okay,
I never hit it.
Take a picture. Take a picture of the guy, of this crane thing, and send it right on over to me because I would just love to see it. Okay. The damage to the vehicle, okay, no, I can't help you with that, but I'd be more than happy to look at the picture of the bird and do a full analysis for you on exactly what it was. I mean, since you remember it that much, since you remember, and of course I'm very sarcastic about all these things, but since you remember it that well, let me take seriously, if you encounter that again, try to take a picture or a video and let me see what it is, because a lot of researchers are trying to figure out what some of these big birds are, and they're very elusive and they don't allow themselves to be captured. So actually,
yeah, like I was telling my mom,
I have my suspicions about something, because I have my suspicions now. Well, this is about the most interesting episode ever because I can talk about birds. Okay, well, I'm really glad. See, we started with blind advocacy, now we're talking about a bird. See, that's why podcasting's amazing, guys, because you never know what you're going to end up talking about in an
And here's the
episode.
best part about the story. Are you
It's
ready for
true.
this?
It's true.
So I asked my mother, why did you not get a photo or a video of this? Like this would have been so good on camera. So I can actually like see it again. Like, oh my goodness. I didn't want to die.
I see. I see. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, if you ever see it again. I mean, I'll just leave it at this because I could ask questions all day and we would never get anywhere. I'm suspicious of what it was, but of course I don't get into big conspiracies. I am suspicious of something else, but I don't know. Let me get back to you if I can find it. Let me get back to you with a video that I know that I saw about this very topic and see if things sound vaguely familiar to you,
Yeah,
because there have been a
definitely.
lot of people around the world who have had this same experience of some big bird and you don't know what it is. And because even if you look at birds today, they are dinosaurs, they're just smaller. So we kind of do have dinosaurs, they're just smaller, they're birds or chickens running around. It's
Yeah,
biologically it's all the same. So biologically it's theoretically it's more than plausible that these velociraptor things could actually still be around. So in
correct.
extremely and probably not, guys, probably not. It was probably just a big crane, and obviously it looked bigger because you were afraid and surprised by it. But let me get back to you with it because there is a video and I want you to look at the stats and what they say about the description. If it matches it up to the T, then you should videotape it again when it happens and then try to do stuff like that. Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
definitely.
if anyone that was a fascinating turn. I guys, I didn't know I was going to get to talk about that because you know me, I love talking about strange stuff like that. Guys, what do you think? Did Sarah see a crane or something else? Comment below. Or am I just crazy? Well, I might be. Who knows?
There's no
Sarah,
such thing as crazy.
Sarah, if someone wants us, I mean, that's basically all the questions I have. Is there anything else that you want to add to this episode? This magnificent episode that you've helped me with here?
Thank you so much. Just definitely let me know what the comments are. And if anyone wants me to come back, definitely let me know. Feel
Well,
free.
I do. I want you to come back. So there you
Yeah,
go.
just let me know. And
And
if
people
anyone
rarely
else,
comment. People rarely comment on these videos. Mm-hmm.
yeah, just definitely let me know. And we can talk about birds and stuff. And you can always teach me more about birds because I don't have much knowledge in them. So
Well,
I know like
yeah.
crazy
I
stuff.
mean, I love. I see. It's funny you bring it up. I love parrots, and I was actually talking to someone in the community who has parrots, and she hasn't gotten back to me yet. I do hope that someday she'll come onto the show. She's very busy, but I have been wanting to record an episode. Parrots, everything I wanted to know. That's what the title is going to be. I've already decided. But I mean, if someone wants to get in touch with you personally, how would they do that? Again, I know you aren't really blogging, I know you don't really have a podcast, but if you want, give yourself a plug.
I'm gonna say, um, you can always put my Facebook name under in the comments for those who want to like add me and stuff.
Yeah, but I
Or
mean,
I
I mean, what I mean is, I mean, from the public perspective, because this is a public podcast, it's a public video. Yes, I'm going to post it on purpose in the group, and the group will know who you are. But an outsider, if an outsider wants to contact you, how would they do that? Hmm.
hmm, I would not know because usually for my way of communication, I usually communicate through social media, so they can
All
always
right. Well,
add my
guys, I tell you what. Let's do this. How about if you want to talk about this, just comment below. Let's leave it at that. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good
Um,
idea.
okay, and if they comment, I'll let you know, although they rarely do. Again, I'm Aaron Richmond. Really, really impressed with your skills this evening on this podcast. If you're ever trying to audition to see if you can be on iTunes, you hit it out of the park. You really hit it
Thank
out.
you so much.
I really enjoyed the conversation. And then mostly, I just want to see this bird. So we're gonna get you back on here, so you can talk about that again. Hopefully, it'll happen again. And remember, try to take a picture no matter what happens. Just try to get a picture. Mhm. And stuff like that. All
Yeah,
right, Sarah.
definitely.
So Aaron's opinion 6 at gmail.com, 1240 6819869. Comment below right here on YouTube. You can also send me. Nobody does it, but I would like to just let you know that I'm on Anchor. You guys can send me a message on Anchor too, a voice message there. That's a really easy way to talk to me. I would of course respond. But the easiest way to get in touch, call or text 1240 6819869. Aaron's opinion 6 at gmail.com. Sarah, a great supporter of the Blind Advocacy Network. Guys, Sarah, I wish you the very best of health. I wish the
Thank you
world
so
a very
much.
best of health. I wish all those birds and cranes out there the very best of health. Whatever bird you are, take care of yourselves, everybody. And as we say, thanks so much. Help one person today, help a million people tomorrow.